Welcome. There are some things that I will tell you about that will make you question reality. Take the blue pill, and you simply scroll past this podcast and never come back. Take the red pill, and I show you how far this episode's rabbit hole goes.
Well, is there a black pill?
Not many know of it. Take the black pill and you subscribe or follow this podcast.
Oh, I'll take
Too late. You already know too much. And welcome to Is There a Black Pill, the podcast where we delve into the esoteric realm of aliens, demons, angels, and other entities that I've personally encountered. This is episode 2, and this episode is dedicated to the Matrix, or well, more specifically, a very Matrix-like experience that I've had. And just a quick warning, this episode is very dark and gruesome, and it has a lot of bloody stuff, so if you can't handle that type of stuff, you might want to go to another episode. If you can, then I'm your host, No Sam Nudge. I'm from a country called Trinidad and Tobago, and I am a creator. I create art, I create books, stories, etc. And you can find me on social media at NoSamNodge Art. That's NoSamNojArt. And if you have any interesting things you want to send, anything that you've experienced that's kind of weird, even if you just want to mention your thoughts on the things in these episodes of the podcast, feel free to send me messages. I'll try to respond within at least 1 millennia. So just send those messages and I'll get on that. Also, for those of you who want to promote yourselves, please send me your things. I will promote you as much as I can on this podcast. Alright, so the topic is The Matrix, and let's head on over to that segment, I guess. Okay, so I'm sure we mostly know what The Matrix is, generally speaking. Be it the movie, the anime, Animatrix, or the concept of the Matrix, but in some form or the other, we know what it is, right? Well, funny enough, I hope you realize this, but the name of the podcast is a reference to the Matrix. Is there a black pill? Because we were offered the red and the blue pill, but, is there a black pill? Yeah, it's cheesy, but, I love the Matrix, so, well, it's a big part of my life, to be honest, and for years, many, many years, I have a paranoia about it, and I couldn't trust people around me much. Well, actually, I should probably rephrase that. It's not that I couldn't trust them, it's more like I was, I guess cautious is the word I'm looking for. I was cautious about others being part of this huge scheme or act or joke or something. Like, everyone was acting around me, and I was the only one who wasn't in on it. Or at the not very least, the most, a few other people in the world were not in on it, and everyone else was. And it's terrible because you just always think someone is acting, and you just feel like they know something, and once you find out, you'll be a part of it, and you can't tell people. You just have to hope they find out, or hope they don't find out, depending on the agenda. But anyway, the worst thing is, even though I was going through all this, when I brought it up, someone of my friends, whose name I'm not gonna call, decided it would be a smart idea to introduce me to the Truman Show. Yeah. Oh, wait, for those of you who don't know, the Truman Show is a movie. It's pretty old, but it's based on this guy whose life is like a TV series, and he doesn't know, and people watch it around the world. Yeah, that kind of stuff gets at me, or used to. Nowadays, not so much, but anyway, as you probably figured out, this episode is based on my personal Matrix-like experience, and I'm not talking about, oh no, there's a glitch in the Matrix. No, I'm talking about a very dark, gritty experience to do with the Matrix. Speaking of dark and gritty, please keep in mind, this episode is much darker than the previous, and may contain, actually not may, it definitely does contain graphic and dark themes. If you're not comfortable with that kind of stuff, then please check out another episode. I actually had to say that. That was like one of the only things that's scripted. So Yeah, just it's very dark. It has blood, it has guts and stuff. If you don't want to listen to any of that, I highly recommend you check out another episode of the podcast. No hard feelings, by the way. Oh, and before we get into the whole episode, I really want to thank each and every one of you who listened to the podcast at all. Like, I'm amazed. It had, like, what, 30 something downloads? That's amazing. I wasn't expecting that much for the first one. So, thank you. I hope you enjoyed. But I really want to thank those people who gave feedback, who took time to give me some feedback. Honest feedback, negative, positive, it doesn't matter. It all adds up to positive because at the end of the day, I'm learning and growing. I never did a podcast before. This is my first, so I'm just trying to enjoy it. And if I ramble, I apologize. But anyway, thank you for the feedback. There's also one more thing I want to do, which is I want to shout out my granny who passed away a few weeks ago. Hence the reason this episode is so late. Like, it's 2 weeks late, maybe even 3 weeks at this point. Uh, she died from complications with her heart and some more stuff, but um, she wasn't too keen on these types of stories and stuff that I share. However, there is one interesting thing she told me about a snake a while ago. I think you guys will be interested in that, so I would love to share it with you sometime. Okay, that's more than enough filler episode stuff for this episode. So on to the main topic. The Matrix and Archons. I didn't mention Archons before, but it's a big part of this. Okay, final warning for all of you who cannot handle graphic content, which includes like blood, guts, uh, gore, nudity, those kind of stuff. If you can't handle that, now is your last chance to leave because it's gonna get right into that after this. So, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you supporting me, listening. But if you truly cannot, don't listen to it just for me. Like, I would appreciate it, but still, don't force yourself into that. Um. Also, if you're paranoid about things like the Matrix, you probably want to listen to this. But I would, I would I would probably make sure you're in a stable state before you listen to this because it's pretty pretty crazy. But you know what? For those of you who are here still, thank you. And let's get into. Actually, before we do get into it, I need to say something first, and that is that throughout my entire life, I'm 21 years old right now as of the recording of this. I have experienced some crazy stuff, like insane things that will probably blow your mind. Hence, the reason for this podcast. But throughout the years, I've figured out how to tell the difference between a few things. So, like, I can tell the difference between hallucinations and what's actually there. And I know it's like much more complex than that because my reality includes hallucinations that I have, but your reality doesn't include the hallucinations that I have. But it's all connected. It's very complex, I know. But for lack of a better term and lack of time, I guess, I'm gonna just go with I can tell the difference between hallucinations and things that are quote unquote actually there. I can tell the difference between this reality that we're in now and dreams and visions. And most recently, well, I shouldn't say most recently, but recently I discovered that I can tell the difference between something else that I can't explain yet. Hopefully, one of you can help me with that. The difference with that and a dream and this reality because they're all different. And we'll get into it. Now, please, one more time, if you can't handle graphic content, now is your very last chance. I'm not even kidding. Like, it starts immediately at the beginning. So, all right. So this dream, well, actually, I can't really call it a dream. If this was a dream, then every other dream I had was 240p in quality, in video quality. So, okay, every other dream I had was pixelated, and this dream was like 4K. Like, it was insane. And real life falls somewhere in between, like 1080p. So that's like this quote unquote dream was more realistic than life itself for me. And by life, I mean this experience we're having here, where you're listening to me. For those of you that are specific. So that's how realistic this was. And I've had lots of like many dreams, and this takes the cake. As cheesy as that sounds, it's extremely real. Like, it made me think that this was a dream when I woke up, quote unquote woke up. But anyway, Again, one more time, this is graphic, so it's gonna start now. Just saying, if you can't handle it, please leave. Anyway, for those of you that are still here, okay, how this quote unquote dream started. Everything was dark and slimy and disgusting. It smelled weird. It felt weird. Something heavy was on top of me, and I was lying down. But I couldn't see anything. I was lying down on something hard as well. Not sure. Well, at the time I wasn't sure, but now I know what it was. So, I tried to push the thing on top of me off, and I immediately realized what it was, and it's disgusting, but I'm gonna describe it anyway. It was a human corpse, carcass, whatever you want to call it, corpse. There was no skin, so it seemed as though basically somebody skinned it, took off all its skin. It was flesh, bones, guts, all that gross stuff, and I was covered in blood. I was covered in disgusting things. Um, so I came out of the pile of, well, spoiler alert, it was a pile of well, I say human, but fleshy humanoid bodies, skin removed. As far as my eyes can see, it was basically like an endless sea of human bodies. Think of like a dump with garbage all over the place, like piles, mountains of garbage. Except they were all human bodies, like corpses, skinned, no skin. I came out of the pile, and the next thing I noticed was the sky. It was red, blood red, really, bright red. It was beautiful, but the bodies weren't beautiful. So, the sky was beautiful, and the clouds were reflecting light, but I couldn't see any sun anywhere. So I'm not sure where the light was coming from. Maybe they were the ones producing the light. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I didn't think of that before. Anyway, back on topic. So yeah, the clouds were producing light, I suppose, but more seemed like they were reflecting it from a source that wasn't there. And the next thing I noticed was there were these two entities. One was a humanoid woman. She was in the far distance, and the closer I walked, well, it was kind of hard to walk, first of all, like piles of bodies, but the closer I got to them, the more I realized the details on them. She was, oh, by the way, I was nude. Like, I was covered in flesh, blood, guts, whatever. I was nude, and bloody, and she was nude and bloody and covered as well, so I assumed she also came from where I came from. So, there's that, and there was another entity next to her. It was tall, skinny, very skinny actually. It looked mechanical, very mechanical, but it looked smooth mechanical. It's kind of hard to explain, but its face was the most noticeable feature. It had like, well, I guess like indents of a mouth and like nose, but not really a human nose. It was kind of like, oh, you know, like Voldemort from Harry Potter. If you know Voldemort, kind of like his nose kind of looked like that. Its nose. I don't know the gender. I don't even know if it had a gender, but its nose kind of looked like that, but more like an engraving of it. And the mouth was a literal engraving of a mouth. Not a human mouth, but kind of. Anyway, the point is, it was a creepy entity. No offense to the entity if it's somehow listening, but anyway. So, I start walking towards them more, and I see the woman. She has like silky hair, and you know, her feet were covered in, her head to feet covered in blood, just like me again. And at some point they were talking to each other, and she handed the entity something. Like it looked like a roundish thing, from far. And the closer I got, I realized she handed it a. We'll get to that, but anyway, it's pretty gross. So she handed it the thing, and then the entity sat her next to this device. The device looked like a tablet, kind of like a Samsung or iPad. I'm not sponsored, by the way. Anyway, I should probably treat this more seriously, but I'm having fun. Anyway, so it was like a Samsung tablet, I guess, and it was on a pedestal type of thing. Like an altar is the better word. And the entity sat her down next to that. Remember, all of this is on top mountains of human fleshy body, no skin, like dead bodies, right? Corpses. And she's sitting there on top of them, and then at that point I realized I had to get one of those things. And in my head I was like, okay, this is a brain, like I need to get a human brain to give this entity. So I start rummaging through the bodies and stuff, corpses. And it was really gross. I don't, like, for those of you who are into that, fine, I would go into details, but for the majority of you who aren't, I'll take the bullet and not go into details. But it was gross. Exciting, but gross. So I got the brain from the bodies, and I gave, well, okay, the next thing that happened was when I looked up after getting the brain, the entity was like right in front of me. It was like a jump scare type thing. I didn't really get scared, but you know, very sudden in front of me. The woman was gone, and the entity, I think it said, it didn't say anything, but it basically orchestrated me to go towards this device. And I went next to the device, which was just like the woman's own, except it was closer to me this time, and I gave the brain to the entity. And remember, this mechanical being, it was tall and kind of freaky. I have a drawing of it that you guys can probably check out. I don't have it published right now online or anything, but I'll see to that, and I'll let you guys know on my social media or whatever. But anyway, so the entity, the being, whatever you want to call it, it took the brain, led me to the device. It implied for me to sit or kneel or whatever, and I did that. It took the brain, I looked into the device, the tablet thing, and then I woke up. Imagine how it feels. Like, okay. Imagine how it felt for me to go from that type of realist, like I know you can't imagine it because you don't know how real it felt. And I'm telling you, it felt far more realistic than this world. This world is a dream compared to that one. And you probably see where I'm going with this. You probably see where I'm going. You probably see why this episode is based on the Matrix and Archons. The Archon thing is another interesting thing I'll get into just now. But the Matrix thing. What is the Matrix about? The quote-unquote real world is scorched. It's destroyed, you could say. It's messy, it's gross. And then the Matrix is filled with like this world, this type of city thing, like countries, like people are around, everyone's alive and well, there's wars and stuff, but it's not perfect, but it's perfect in its own way. That's the Matrix. Tell me you don't see the similarities here. Please. This I know I keep saying this, and I don't know how else to express it with words. But this was way more realistic than this reality you are experiencing right now. This wasn't a dream to me. This was much more than a dream. Because it was more than this. And if this was a dream, then this world here we're in is a dream as well, or a hallucination. Because I can tell the difference. And it's just like video quality. The quality raises, it lowers. The quality of your consciousness, your realization of yourself in the moment, raises and it lowers depending on what you're experiencing. This is me talking, whatever from experience. So I know what I'm talking about in that regard. Although I don't know the general terms because I didn't research that kind of stuff, but I know how it feels and I can explain it like that. This was more realistic than the life than you listening to this right now. And it freaked me out when I woke up. I was like, oh, quote unquote woke up. When I woke up, I was like, is this real? Is this a dream? What is real? Like, I started questioning everything. And then I started thinking, oh my god, I'm actually in the Matrix. Like, I really did start freaking out. So I'll move from the Matrix thing for a bit, and I'll go over to, I'll get back to it, because I have this book that I'm writing that's based on, well, I finished one version of it, but I'm rewriting it to make it a bit more story, like, interesting. Like, I'm not changing the dreams at all. I'm just adding, like a story element to seeing the dream. So anyway, you'll see what I mean in the future. If you're interested in the book, just message me, and I'll sort that out. I'm thinking to still publish the other version that's just like the dreams itself, so that people can read the exact dreams. But we'll anyway. I'm getting off topic. I'm rambling. The point I'm saying is I'll get back to that. What I want to talk about is the whole Archon thing. So the okay, I know this guy. He's a really close friend of mine. He's one of my closest friends. He's way older than me. And he's very, I would say he's very wise. He knows who he is. He knows a lot about this stuff. Like, he knows a lot about archons, about spiritual world stuff. He knows about astral travel and projection or whatever. He knows about all this stuff, right? And when I told him this dream, when I described this dream to him, he's like, that sounds like archon. Like, it sounds like the description of archons. And I was like, what's an archon? And um, he sent me some videos on it, and I was like, what? Holy crap, this image is exactly what I saw, except it was a bit buff, like compared to the skinny entity I saw. Like the one I saw was skinnier. I was like, this is crazy. Is this really what it is? Like, I was like, did I meet an archon? Why did I meet an archon? What are archons? And what does that mean that it is the Matrix that I'm in? So then I told him that I thought it was like the Matrix, and he said, well, archons do believe this world here is a simulation. I was like, that blew my mind. So just imagine me waking up and I'm like, are we in the Matrix? I tell this guy about it, who is a very valid, like, I was gonna say valid source, I would say, for information like this, esoteric type of information. And I'm starting to talk faster because I'm getting a bit like excited about the story. It's very intriguing to me. So I'll slow down a bit for those of you who probably can't. I'm just being a bit considerate. So what I was saying is, I know this guy and he knows a lot about this stuff, and he told me that the entity that I described in the dream was an archon. I researched archons. They look exactly the same, except just a bit different. So I shouldn't say exactly the same, but. And he told me that they believe that this world is like a simulation or a game type thing, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to believe that it's like a Matrix type thing. And this is... I'm sure you can understand my frustration. But rather than frustration, I should probably say my interest in the topic. It's very intriguing, and I don't know what to make of it other than we might be in the Matrix, and that's... So anyway, I did a lot of research and stuff, and archons are basically this race, these you could call them aliens, I guess, who they, generally speaking, I can't account for every one of them, but generally they don't like humans. They feed off of human energy, which he said would explain the brain. He said it explains the brain part. I'm just like, everything adds up to him. And I'm just here ignorant on the whole field. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I knew nothing about these things, then there's no way I could have just dreamt it or whatever. So it had to be real. So I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So he's like, the brain makes sense because they feed off of brains, I guess. Like human energy, emotions, brains, all this stuff. They feed off of that, so giving it a brain makes sense. They want to eradicate humans, some of them, I guess. So it makes sense that I would have seen that world. The question I have is, for all of you, is this the Matrix? Because remember, I had to give it the brain, and then I woke up in this world when I looked into the tablet thing. And again, this world here is like 360p, and the real world is 4K, right? Well, I should say 1080p. It's like more realistic than dreams, but whatever. Anyway, I'm already kind of paranoid of the Matrix as is, so I don't know if I want to go into this too much, but not because of me, by the way, because I think some of you might be paranoid as well, and I don't know if I'm scaring you guys or not. But you know what? I did warn you, so if you're here, then so be it. So, there's some reasons why I would think this could be the Matrix. Like, deja vu is a big thing, right? Like, if something happens twice, or rather you believe it happened twice, that's the whole thing where you get tripped up on that. The next thing is like the Mandela Effect. There's a lot of things like the butterfly effect is pretty cool, but I don't think it equates to the whole concept of the Matrix being a thing. But yeah, there are a lot of things that I think add up to it. But this like I never said to myself we are in the Matrix. But now after this happened, I'm like maybe we are. Oh, and I should probably say when it happened. This experience happened the 3rd of the 8th, 2020. Uh, in case you were wondering when it happened. So the next thing I have here to talk about, by the way, because I have like different things I want to touch on, are my thoughts on the dream. So I'm gonna get into that. Well, dream in quotes. Um, I don't think it's a dream. Again, and I know I keep repeating that, but it's very hard to describe it, so I'm just hoping you get the idea. The next thing I would say is I started asking myself what I am or who I am. Because this, think about it, right? If this thing is an archon, and I'm seeing this thing and communicating with it, they don't like humans, generally speaking. It could be one that likes humans. It could be one that wants to benefit humans. Hence, it sent us here. But I don't know why I was sent here. Like, what am I? Right? And who am I? And this thing needed a brain. I got the brain. Like, I gave it a brain. And it sent me here. And I'm like, and now I'm hearing like eerie singing. And I don't know if it's like the TV. Although that's hard to believe. But anyway, I'll try to focus on but it's like in the back of my head. So it's like hard to focus. But anyway, um, I'll just be real with you guys anyway. So yeah, um, I got distracted a bit. I'm not gonna cut this out. So, right, my thoughts on the dream. So yeah, I started questioning myself a lot. Like, am I evil? Am I good? And you could even, well, I can't say you can ask the guy, but he'll know what I'm talking about. There was a period where I started questioning myself, and he assured me that I wasn't evil or anything. Um, and I felt better because I started realizing like one of my goals in life is, or I shouldn't say just in life, like ever, is to bring harmony to people. And I'm saying that out on this podcast because I want you to know. I want you to know that that is my goal. That this world is messed up. Like, not just the world. Like everything is kind of out of it, and I want everyone, not just humans, not just. I want everyone to be able to live in harmony. And I think to achieve that, we need to work together. I I'm just gonna go straight into it, even though it's very different from the Matrix thing, because this is what I want to talk about right now. So, things like racism, I'm not against racism at all. Like, if you're racist, that's on you. If you're sexist, that's on you. I don't care. Like, I don't hate racism. And I get a lot of hate for this, especially back in school debates. Like, people are like, how could you say that? Like, racism is so bad. Yeah, it is. But you know what? That's people's opinions. Someone can kill me, like, shoot me in the head and kill me because of my skin color, or because I have Nikes or something. I don't have Nikes right now, I think, but like, just an example. Like, they can shoot me because of any reason. The point is they killed me, so the race thing doesn't matter. What I try to show people is you don't fight the symptoms or the parts of the thing, you look at the root of it. So the root of it isn't racism, it's hatred, it's fear. Like, if you get rid of that, there will be no need for racism. But because people fear and hate, like, it's really sad. Like, I look at humanity, like humans, and I just think to myself, man, you guys could be so much better than this if you just like work together. Like, think of money, right? And this actually equates to matrix type stuff when I think about it. It's systematic type stuff. So think of the money system. If we really cared about helping everybody, solving quote unquote world hunger and medicine and stuff like this, we would have done it already. I'm not even kidding. Like, we don't need money. Money is a system we made up. We don't need it. We don't. And if we really cared about these people, we would have done it. And by we, I mean everyone. The higher ups, the governments, whatever. We don't need money. If you take money out of the equation, all you need is food and water. Except for those people who say we don't need it, and they seem to prove it by spending months, years without eating or drinking anything, which is amazing. And anyway, that's man, I do ramble a lot, but you know what? It's fine. Um, so yeah, I think if we cared about these people, look at this, right? There's some people in the world with billions of dollars. Okay, how many people in the world are there? Based on the last thing I saw, I would say like 7.5 billion. Hold on, I'll check that really quick. Let me. So, okay. How many humans are great? Dang it. Humans are on Earth. Okay, cool. So there are 7.8 billion people on Earth, approximately. So I was close. 7.5, 7.8, whatever. 7.8 billion people. Wait, is that correct? Because it's saying that it took over 2 million years of human prehistory and history for the world's population to reach 1 billion and only 200 years for. Okay, yeah, so 7 billion. Whoa, that is amazing. Interesting. Anyway, so there's so many people in the world. 7 billion, right? How many billion years are there in the world? I'm gonna look that up really quick. Okay, number of billionaires 2,755. Wow. Okay, so we. Okay, so according to this, there are 2,755 billionaires in the world, according to Wikipedia at least. No offense, but I don't think Wikipedia is the most reliable source for information, but let's go with that for now. Could be more or less. How many people are there on Earth again? 7.8 billion, approximately. World hunger doesn't equate to 7.8 billion, it's way less than that. But you know what? Let's go with 7.8 billion. Say everyone on Earth was hungry and starving. Okay. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, there's so much money on Earth. Even if we had to use the system of money no matter what, people could have helped everyone already. And we don't. We don't. We could have worked together to solve so many problems. We still can, but I think it's drawing to that point where things are getting so bad in the world that I don't like the word good, the words good or bad or like evil and just. I don't subscribe to those words, but for lack of a better term, right now I'm gonna say it's getting bad. Okay, so I feel like we can still like global warming, if that's what you want to call it, whatever. Pollution, fish overfishing, population growth, population drops. All of these things we could solve if we work together. We don't even need money. Please drive it through your head that money is a man-made system, just like the law, just like, and I'm not saying go like, cause chaos. I'm not saying go rob banks and kill people. No. The law has its benefits. But the systems we use, the systems we use, all of them have benefits. But at the same time, I think if we got rid of the system of money and focused on helping each other and progress, things would be better. So that's my take on that. I have absolutely no idea why I went there, but my mind is a train sometimes. Um, so the whole system is made up like that, and it sucks. And we can live without it. That's my thoughts on that, I guess. Why did I go? You guys are probably just like laughing, like, why did I go there? Oh right, I was saying that I don't care about like race and stuff. I had to go all the way back in the like from the beginning to now. So yeah, I don't care about racism. I don't care what race you are. That's like irrelevant to me. If you're a cool person, like a chill person, I don't care. Um, and I was saying that it doesn't matter if you killed me because I'm like brown skin or whatever, or you killed me because I'm a man, or you killed me because I like anime, or I'm weird or whatever. The point is you killed me. That's the point. Media is gonna market on race and stuff because that's what gets them views, right? They won't talk about the fact that somebody died. They will talk about the circumstances of why they died. Like it just sucks that somebody was murdered. That's my take on racism. And power struggle is a big part of it. I feel like it blew my mind. So in Trinidad, when COVID started getting like across here, the prime minister banned going to the beach, right? When I heard that, I thought to myself, this is weird. And I know you're gonna just hear me out, right? This is really weird. Just hear me out. I know why he did it, right? Because he didn't want people to get infected with the virus or whatever. Fine, I get the reasoning. The reasoning makes sense. My problem is the fact that he has the power to do that. That is weird to me. That is really weird. You can't tell me you never thought of that. Like, okay, one human can tell you that you cannot go to the beach or you have to suffer consequences. And the consequences aren't like your own, like, no, don't run on the staircase because you trip on. No, it's because other people will come and put you in jail or charge you $25,000 TT, not US, but still a lot of money. They'll charge you a lot of money if you go to the beach. That is so weird to me. You're telling me that people can tell you that? Like, I get the whole moral thing, but the beach is nature. Like, it's nature. And curfews are so odd to me, too. Like, what? I know it's probably some simple thing, but please just hear me out and think about it. Just give it some thought and think about how weird it is. We were all born the same way, based on, like, we came out of our moms, right? Like, unless some of you were, like, genetically engineered in labs or something. But you know what? We were all born the same way. A lot of us probably aren't human, but we're in like human bodies or whatever. But we were all born the same way. So, how weird is it that you go to school, you learn? Like even school is very weird to me. Like I don't get the concept of school. Like I get the benefits, but I just feel like it's a weird system. Everything is so systematic, and this goes all the way back to what I was saying in the beginning, with my paranoia of like everything being like a movie or play or like an act or a game or a matrix, and everyone is just in on this thing, and I'm just here like, don't you see this system? I remember when I was younger, I would tell people that like this particular teacher of mine, lecturer. I don't know if he's listening. Probably, probably not. He knows himself. He sat me down one time and we were talking about this paranoia of mine, and he told me, he basically gave me advice and said, if I'm here right now to think about it, it means I exist. Something along those lines. So in order to think, I need to be there to think, and that like kind of calmed me down because he was basically saying I exist. For now, that's all that matters. Just because we're in a matrix doesn't really mean anything, but I think otherwise. I don't like being. I don't like being affected by things I didn't sign up for, or that I'm not aware I signed up for. Read your documents before you click I agree to stuff, by the way. Like even if you buy games, I heard this case where this game company or some company or whatever, was it a game company? My friend told me about it recently. He basically, they had like agreements and people just signed it without reading, and it literally said we have ownership of your soul. Like, and people just signed away their souls and they couldn't like how weird is that? I mean it's funny, but it's kind of weird. The things you probably signed and you just didn't read. My mind is a train. Um, just hope you enjoy the ride, I guess. Uh, but anyway, so the whole Matrix thing has me a bit confused. There's also this thing that the same friend I just mentioned. Um, I wrote a story, a short story called Serenity, right? This is how big of a coincidence this is. It's really funny, actually. So I wrote this short story called Serenity, and it's about, you can consider it like a Matrix thing, but it's not about the Matrix. It's about like okay, brief summary. This woman lived. It's like futuristic times, and I describe the world as I see it in the future. And they're like VR things. Think like Sword Art Online if you're an anime fan, and if you're not an anime fan, think like VR, except it's fully connected to your brain so that you don't move and stuff in real life. You just go to sleep and you wake up in the VR world. And it's like a a lucid dream type thing. So think like that, and the world is big on that. And the name of the game is Serenity, and the main characters at some point she couldn't differentiate like the difference between quote unquote real life and Serenity, right? Okay, so um, my paranoia once again is this whole Matrix type thing. My friend, I show him the story, he reads it, and he's like, "Hey, dude, John Mason, you need to check out this movie called Serenity." I'm like, "It's a movie called Serenity, or you mean the thing I just sent you?" And he's like, "No, it's a movie called Serenity. Check it out." I watched the movie, and the crazy thing is, the movie is about this guy. Oh man, I can't spoil this. If I tell you this, then it's kind of. Do I spoil it? Because even if I do spoil it, and I say like skip ahead, you might end up in the spoilers. Spoiler territory. Dang it. Okay, fine. I'll just. Okay, basically, stuff to do with my paranoia was in the movie. Just like the name of the. Just like the short story I wrote. Stuff to do with that kind of stuff. And, stuff to do with that kind of stuff. Yeah. Um, the main character's name is John Mason, which is hilarious because my name is, like, well, John Mason. Um, and his son has my middle name as his name. So in turn, the two main characters are John, middle name Mason. I'm not gonna tell you my middle name. And I was just there like, yo, this is kind of weird. Why is this happening? So anyway, you can imagine my like amusement when he showed me this. Um, so yeah, the movie had to do with my paranoia. The main characters had my name, and I was just there like, wow, okay. Anyway, that was a long ramble, but I'm just trying to point out different things that are connected to the Matrix that I think about a lot. So getting back to the entity that I encountered in this, well, I guess dream experience, whatever. I don't. That's the thing. Like I don't know what to call it, because it's not a dream. It's not a vision. It's not a hallucination. If I call it real life, then it's not the real life I would hope for. I mean, if this was the Matrix, I would hate if that was real. That was disgusting. Like, like it was terrible. And that's coming from me. If you see my artwork, you know that I'm into dark things, but I would not want to live in that world. Anyway, so in my life I've seen a lot of messed up things, a lot of entities, a lot of things people call demons and angels and like aliens, whatever you want to like. Hence the introduction where I go like, "This is in. Is there a black pill? Demons in So I've seen a lot of things, and I've never seen one that looked like this. The last time something like this happened is a story I'm gonna talk about in the next episode. Schnabo Bote, I guess will be the name. Uh, it's about this entity that I saw in my room, and it's kind of it's a long story. I'll go into it in another episode. Um, and when I looked up demons and stuff online, I saw a picture that looked kind of very, very similar to him. Not exactly the same, I can't lie, but it looked very similar. It had a lot of features that it has. Not to mention, I drew sketches of the entity that I saw beforehand, and my friend saw some similarities as well. However, this time, with the entity in this dream, vision, whatever you want to call it, it was way more similar. Like, it was eerily similar to the entity that I saw in the images online, the entities I saw of Archons. I'm not talking about Archons from card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! and Magic the Gathering, MTG. I'm talking about Archons from, like, I guess, esoteric information, websites, YouTube videos, etc. I don't know, like, I'm thinking of what else I should say about this, but that's pretty much it. Like, I wanted a guest on this episode because I'm curious what they would think. But I wasn't able to get through that in time. I had a long day today. So, however, if I do get a guest, or if any of you have anything you want to talk about, please, please just post it. Tag me, social media, anywhere. No Sam Najat. And I'm very curious what you think. My goal isn't to scare anyone. But my goal is to just inform people of what I've experienced. Now, I actually forgot to mention this. I saw this lady. Okay, I need to say that I do not like TikTok, first of all. I No offense to TikTok and the creators. It's a really good app. You made a lot of money. I think it's amazing. I just don't like the content on it too much, and I don't like the whole you're stuck in a loop of swiping up and up and up, and you need extreme self control to get out of that. It amazes me that people can be on social media for more than an hour. That blows my mind. And then I hear of people who spend like 8 hours a day on social media. I'm not judging, I'm just saying that's crazy to me. Like, I can't do that. Anyway, I don't like TikTok. I don't use it often at all. I think I follow like 3 people. Um, and uh, I saw this video on it where this lady was describing some near death experience, and she thinks we're in the Matrix. She didn't go into details. And I thought to myself, wait, there was a woman in this dream. Who are you? Now, the woman in the video, I can't remember that well, but I think she was blonde. The woman in the dream had very silky black hair, but it was also covered in blood, so maybe it was blood, but I don't know. I'm very curious who that person is. If you've had an experience like this, please reach out to me, because I'm curious what you, if that was you, and if you know more than I do, because clearly the person was there before me. When I got out, they were already there talking to the entity. So I'm very curious about what you know, what you've experienced. So if you happen to hear this by some magical, mystical means, yeah, you can reach out to me. Um, and I will reply to you as soon as possible, be it in a day or up to like 3 years. It depends on depends on what happens. But anyway, so yeah, those are my thoughts. That's the experience. Um, Again, I'm very curious as to what happened, what it means, what what I am, I guess, as cringy as it sounds, and who I am, what my purpose is, because again, it felt as though I bought, like I had a ticket going back into it for a bit. Like the brain was a ticket to get here, and this is like a travel destination. Like it felt kind of like that, actually. My question is, why were there all those human bodies there? Were those people that went through the same experience I am now, and when you die, you just become that? Like, is it that they're feeding off of your physical body outside of this realm, and you, when you die in this world, or when you die in that world, you die here, and vice versa? Like, is that it? I don't know. I really can't answer that. All I know, 2 human-like beings were alive, myself and the woman. We looked the same in terms of like we were nude, we were covered in blood, cuts, whatever. We were disgusting. And we gave the brain, and she was gone. Wait, so that means I disappeared? Because if she disappeared, then does it mean we were sucked into the tablet thing? And what was the brain for? Was it really a ticket, or was it like we take on the persona of a person that lived before? So maybe this isn't present tense. Maybe this is quote unquote past tense, and we're just replaying it in our head. And that brain is the brain of the person we took, we found in the bodies. That could be an interesting concept. I didn't think of that. Huh. So it could be like this isn't me. This is me experiencing me, but not me. Like somebody else's life that already happened. It's kind of like when you're playing a video game. You aren't your character, but you're experiencing it as though you are the character, and you can get lost in that sometimes and think you are the character. So yeah, that could be it too. Anyway, uh, at the very least, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Um, and I know it's again very dark and gritty, but this is nothing compared to some of the other stuff I'm gonna tell you about. Again, I've had a really messed up. Well, I have really messed up experiences. So uh, the the dream or whatever. You can send me your thoughts on it. I'll try to respond to everyone that I can. Again, if you want to check out my artwork or my social media, my YouTube and stuff, I should have a link, tree link, but fastest way to find me, go on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. No Sam Nodge Art. NOSAMNOJART. And you can message me there and I'll respond to everyone that I can in time, I guess. It's not about time, it's more like when I do it. But I will try to respond. I'm very curious what you all think. If you have any artwork, anything you want to promote, like any of that stuff, you can do so. Just send me and I will do it. Also, if we're in the Matrix, it. I just want to say it doesn't mean. I guess for people who are paranoid and for people who are rebels and who like their own reality, I just want to tell you, if you believe in faith, then your reality isn't your own. It means that it's already scripted, and fate determines what happens. If you do not believe in faith, then your reality is your own. And it doesn't matter if we're in this matrix type thing. What matters is you make the best of it. And that's really hard for me to say because I'm still a bit paranoid about it. But I need to tell myself this as well. And I think some of you need to hear this. Because it's not where you are, it's not who you are, it's what you do and how you do it. It's what you say, but more so how you say it. So, yeah. Oh, and something interesting that I heard about. It's not like just interesting, but I have a friend in Cuba. Oh, I guess that's the friend I would shout out for this episode. Her name is Lika Draws on Instagram, I think. That's LikaDraws. I love how I struggled more with the draws, but I wasn't struggling with that. I was spelling out Instagram on my PC to get her account information properly. Give me one sec. But yeah, she lives in Cuba, my friend. And she told me that Cuba has a lot of stuff that's going down. And it's terrible. If you see any way to support them, guys, please take part and help out. And this doesn't just go for Cuba. I mean, anyone around you that needs help, just lend a hand, especially if you can. That wasn't supposed to rhyme, but yeah, just help them out, right? Even if it's just moral support. Because they're going through a lot of dumb stuff. And to any of you in Cuba listening, I hope things get better for you. Anyway, my friend's name is Lika.draws. That's Lika.draws. She has really beautiful art. There's one piece in particular I always liked. With like blood and stuff, because it's me, I guess. But it seems like she took it down, so. Oh, nope, it's right there. I just missed it. It was somehow in the first row, even though it was like older, but this is really good stuff. Anyway, yeah, so you can check out and give them some support, the Cubans. And yeah, I guess have a good, well, we've been through this before. I hope you have fun in life. That's probably the best I could say. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode. And also, I might have like a next episode this week based on this same thing, but with a guest. I am hoping to find a guest that is interested in this topic and that would like to discuss it with me. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys.